I'd like to share a little story with you. A friend of mine, George Verwer, who passed away a year or so ago, he had a really interesting experience. Back during the Cold War, he and a friend entered the Soviet Union with the intent to give Christian literature to the people who at that time were prohibited from having anything to do with Christianity and help them come to the Lord. Well, anyway, as you might imagine, he was arrested. He was interrogated by the KGB. He was threatened with a labor camp in Siberia. And ultimately, he and his friend were expelled from the country. And so here he was, this great dream of going into the Soviet Union and evangelizing the people there was just completely dead. And he was sitting in Austria, just kind of reeling, trying to figure out what to do. And so, if I remember the story correctly, he climbed up into a tree and started praying. And in the middle of that prayer, God gave him something very important. And what God said to him is, he said, "Why are you doing what you're doing? What I want you to do instead is mobilize the church and let the church reach the world." And so out of that prayer and out of that conversation with God, a whole ministry was born. And that ministry is called Operation Mobilization. And that ministry has reached virtually every country on the planet with the gospel of Jesus Christ. So anyway, I tell you that story to ask you a question. And the question is, have you discovered your why? Your God-given why? When George Verwer was in that tree, God gave him his why. And what do I mean by why? I mean the answer to the question, why are you here? What is it that God wants you to accomplish before he removes you from this life and brings you into life everlasting, brings you into the life to come? Why are you here? What is your why? What is your God-given why? I want to suggest something to you. Once you discover your why, once you learn your God-given why, everything changes. And, a lot of people think of Christian ministry kind of in these terms. Oh, I got my family, I got my job, I got my financial responsibilities, I've got stuff I got to do around the house on the weekend. And now on top of everything else, I've got to add this Christian service thing. I just don't have time for it. Well, no, that's not how the why works. When you discover your God-given why, it doesn't add something that you need to do. Instead, it redefines every waking moment of your life, and it gives meaning and purpose to everything that you do. And so discovering your God-given why is just critical for understanding what God is doing in your life and what God wants you to do with your life. And when you get your why, a couple of things will happen. Number one, every moment of your life will begin to have purpose and meaning. Number two is you'll have the freedom to get rid of things in your life that aren't connected to your why. It doesn't add a burden to your life. It releases burdens from your life because you'll discover, most likely, that there's stuff that you're doing that you don't need to do. And God never intended for you to do. When you have your why, your life falls into balance and it falls into alignment with the purposes of God. Two other things about your why is, number one, you will discover that your why is 100% you. It will feel so aligned to your personality, your passions, who God created you to be. Because God isn't an idiot, God created you to be you for a reason. He has a mission for you. He has a purpose for you. He has a why for you. And when you connect to that why, it's like, ah, this makes so much sense and this feels so much like me, so much like you. And the second thing is you'll find that it's so much God. It's you and it's God, because you'll see the purposes of God unfold in your life when you discover your why. So, anyway, part of what I am doing is I am helping people to discover their God given why. And it's part of a series of resources that I'm creating. And for those of you who are listening to this that are not in our Empower Good community, we have a community that we're growing around the issue of discovering your God given why and supporting one another in the purposes that God has for our lives. If that's of interest to you, I'll leave some contact information someplace where you can find it easily. Get in touch with me, and I'll be glad to talk to you all about it. Thank you so much. Much love from my home to yours. Have a fantastic week.